Hello.
Yo, yo, yo!
How are you?
I'm all right.
You
I'm
think you're all right?
not too bad at all.
Good.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you very much. The sun's come out, things are growing.
Yeah,
It's been a good week
good.
so far. So far.
Yeah. I had a heated discussion with a friend this week about
Hmm.
feminism, which was fun.
Okay, go on. Tell me more. Tell me more.
My friend,
Was it love at first sight? Oh, sorry.
very good friend, uh,
Hmm.
we definitely haven't fallen out, but he was coming at me with all the bingo questions, which was fun.
Wow.
And I'm glad to say, I felt like I was on fire with my response.
Hey,
I felt
give
like I
us a
got to a place where I can respond confidently.
nice. That's good. So, what sort of
I think that's
things did you get asked?
the reason we eat animals is because that's what we've always done.
Oh, for God's sake.
Okay, why do we have to keep with that if we've always done it? And yeah, just
That's
all
such.
that really.
Hmm.
I can't really. I mean, I brought this up now, and I can't really remember the rest of it. But it was all around just it's this. It's what we've always done, and you're never going to get people to change. And I was like, I'm not trying to get people to change. It's if you can sow a seed with somebody else and they will actively listen to you, and it just gives them a little bit of insight that can give them an informed opinion on what the facts are, then that's all you can do. You're never going to
Yeah,
change, but you can try and inform them, let them know. Yeah,
precisely.
but it's what we've always done. So why? And then around
Hmm.
choice, about I even at one point I even brought the China study up and about the reason the China study was done was because of the diverse nature of China, where you've got certain areas that live on a vegan diet because that's just how they live, and then you go to other places where they eat a carnivorous diet.
Hmm.
Well, that's so you're bringing in choice, then, aren't you? I said, well, no, okay, that's not the area where they're eating smaller or not smaller, a more vegan diet. It's probably because that's their only option. Whereas if you go in, I don't know what the areas are currently, so I'm just a bit boring. But
Hmm.
if you then go into cities where they are selling meat and they're richer, then that's what they're doing. So it's not about
Yes.
choice. It's about if you know the facts, you then have the choice to eat what you're going to eat or consume how you're going to consume. So if you're in a
Hmm.
situation where that you can have the choice not to, why would you do it? Well, that's what we've always done. Oh,
Uh,
no, no.
it's so frustrating, and it's the same thing as we've said before, like slavery, women not having the vote,
I thought about it.
poor people not having the vote. You know, uh, just because it's always been done doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. That's the
No.
whole thing about progress, because otherwise we wouldn't have computers because we'd never had them before. So why do we need them now?
Yeah,
We wouldn't have steam engines because we've always managed fine with horses.
yeah.
So
I even,
why do
I,
we need them?
I
It's
even
just
went down,
progress.
even went down the road of when was the last time you went into a field and killed a cow with your bare hands?
Do you want to know? Do
Yeah,
you want to know the?
yeah. He said, "Well, no, obviously I've never done that." I said, "Yeah, but you're paying someone to do it, so
Mhm.
the same thing. Yeah, it's what we've always done." No, stop
No,
it.
it's not. No, it's so frustrating, and
From there,
it's also not quite true, is it? Because we've never industrially farmed
no.
animals in the way that we do now.
Mm,
It was historically done by necessity in some ways, because you didn't have supermarkets, you didn't have avocados being flown in from the other side of the world. And so the option was get a couple of cows, get a couple of sheep, get a couple of pigs, and they would feed your family, and that would be it. Not thousands and thousands of chickens being reared and housed in a massive warehouse with no windows and ridden with disease and covered in shit all the time. That's not how it was. So that argument just doesn't add up at all. Anyway, preaching to the choir there.
Yeah.
All you can do is give them the information, and it's up to them. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Or as someone at work said today, you can take a donkey to the ocean, which was they were getting at the same thing, but I just never heard that before.
No.
You can take a donkey to the ocean, like I don't know, like on a day trip, or I don't know, maybe they like the beach or something. I'm not sure.
And they were just trying to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. Just trying to confuse me. Dear. Anyway, right. Shall I tell you about today's guest?
Why not?
So today's guest asked to join us.
No, someone asked to join us
Someone
again.
asked to join us. I know, yeah. And I'm quite excited about this. They are the communications manager for V-Label. So V-Label, if you're not aware, is basically on almost any vegan product, you may see a little yellow circle with a green V in it, and it will either say vegetarian or vegan.
Wow.
And that means it's been approved by V-Label.
Wicked.
And so today we have Tim, who is the communications manager for V-Label.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Really, it's quite exciting.
Yeah, and quite often when we have guests on, they might have done podcasts before. And so I'll always try and have a listen so that, you can get an idea of what they're like, and to try not to ask the same questions that they've already been asked.
Yeah.
But the only previous podcast that I could find was in Dutch, and my Dutch is non-existent. So I didn't listen to it. So we'll have to see.
So even if you ask the same questions, at least they'll be in a different language.
That's true, actually. Yes, I'll just send a link to the other podcast, and people can choose if they want to listen to it in English or Dutch.
Yeah,
that sounds fair, doesn't it?
Why not?
Yeah, because V-Label is a international brand. It's like internationally known for this type of thing. A bit like you see the flower logo, don't you, with the Vegan Society approve stuff in a similar way, and the Vegetarian Society.
And so, in on that other shitty side of the fence, the red tractor label.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping it's a bit more in depth than that, because as we know from recent exposés, the red tractor label doesn't capture shit, does it?
Yeah. Yeah, but we know. Yeah, I get that. Maybe edit that.
Yeah, maybe.
Those might put some stupidity.
Not at all. So yeah, that's exciting. So looking forward to it.
Yeah.
If you listen to the episode and you enjoy it, why not tell us, or more importantly, tell other people. Give us a review, give us a 5-star review, and subscribe and share it on your social media, and post it on your local family WhatsApp group, or if you've got a street Facebook page, then put it on there just to make all the neighbors think that you're a proper weirdo. Oh god, it's those weirdo vegans at number 47 again, posting their propaganda.
Oh, is that all they ever talk about?
All they ever talk about. God, they're so preachy. Why can't they just live and let live?
It's the circle of life, though. It's what. I wish they'd go off to a desert island with a pig.
Yes, yes, exactly. Anyway, if you fancy being sent to a desert island with a pig, then why don't you email us?
Yeah, why not email us? That would be a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Send us
And
an
tell us how
email.
great we are. Tell us how great we are because
Yeah, yeah, definitely do that. Even if you don't like, even if you don't like the podcast, just tell us how great we are.
yes,
That'd be nice.
that'd be great.
And yeah, email us. What is it? howiveganpodcast@gmail.com.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. So today's guest works for V Label. You may have seen their yellow and green logo on some of the vegan products that you buy. And we're going to find out the process that they go through to classify products with communications manager Tim de Smet.
So nice to meet you, fellas.
Yes,
Oh.
it's taken a while to get set up, but we're here now. That's the main thing.
Yeah, exactly,
It
exactly.
fits you.
Yeah, how's your chair, Matthew? Because I know that previous episode was squeaky, so.
Oh, that's good research. That's good research.
Hey,
Not
I'm subscribed. So like I'm a bit of a hoarder, I have to say, regarding podcasts. But yeah, no, I've listened to a couple of things already.
Wow.
And I will do more in the future. It's nice. There's so many resources out there, and it's always nice to see new podcasts pop up. So I'm very enthusiastic to be here as well. So yeah, nice
Excellent,
to meet you.
excellent. Yeah, and you. I'm glad you've listened to 2 podcasts and you've still agreed to come on. That's really good.
I've listened to parts because they are quite lengthy.
Yes.
That I have to say, but that is great because you get you take the time and everything to go through. Yeah, but I did a bit of exploration, but yeah, you're in my list now, so yeah, I'll give them
Excellent.
full listens. Absolutely.
Excellent. That's another listener. We might be in double figures by the end of the year. So I tried to do a bit of research as well, Tim, and I found that you'd been on a podcast back in March.
Yeah.
But it was in, I think, Dutch.
It's in Dutch, yeah.
And my Dutch is even worse than my English. So
so is mine.
I didn't listen to that one, I'm afraid. But,
no worries. Yeah, it was a Dutch one.
thought I'd give
I'm
you the-
Flemish myself, so that was an
okay.
easy one. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, you're our second Belgian then that we've had on, I think, if that's
Oh, okay.
correct. We had Trudy on last summer, who's in Bruges.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I saw that as well. I haven't heard the episode yet, but yeah, Geertrui Kazoo. Yeah,
That's it.
she's fabulous. We've met, and yeah, I'm from Bruges actually as well.
No
She,
way.
yeah, she's got a fantastic guide on restaurants in Bruges. She's got a nice blog.
Mhm.
But she's an academic as well. Like she has some really great insights as well on speciesism and so forth and ableism and everything. So yeah, no, absolutely fantastic person to have on. That's definitely an episode I'll have to listen to. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So I first came across her when I went to Bruges for a city break and
Nice.
typed in on Instagram Bruges vegan, I think, and she came up, and so just sent her a message, and she sent a list of about 15 different places to go and visit
Yeah, exactly.
in 2 days, which was which was fantastic. She was a great guest, and you're absolutely right about the academia. I mean, our minds were blown by the end of that conversation. We both had to go and have a lie down.
Yeah, you've set the bar high with that one. I'm going to walk just right under that. Yeah. Where are you fellas based? Where are you guys based?
Where'd
So
you go first?
I'm originally from Northampton. I now live just northeast of Manchester, near a place called Rochdale.
Okay, nice.
And I'm also originally from Northampton, and I live just a little bit up the road in Kettering. So it's like sort of in the Midlands. It's the bit that people pass through on their way to more interesting places.
All right, yeah.
Okay. They leave London, and so I'll just carry on.
Yeah,
that's
right.
it. Yeah. How about you? Whereabouts are you, Tim? You mentioned that you're originally Flemish. Whereabouts are you?
Yeah, so I've never had a stable base, and I don't know if you can actually see it. That is a palm tree behind me. I've been living in Spain for many years, off and on. So I went back to Belgium. I lived in London, Costa Rica, Australia, and so forth. But I always seem to come back to Spain. And I'm now trying my hand at living in northern Spain, because I was in Catalonia and Barcelona for many, many years, which is just a I wouldn't call it a vegan paradise, but it comes close.
Wow.
Yeah, and here I am 15 meters away from a dairy farm, and it's
Oh,
mind-boggling. It is, yeah, exactly. It's quite nasty.
mm,
And yeah, 2 days ago I decided I'll be moving back to Barcelona while my contract is up and the summer is gone because
yeah.
it's yeah, there's no comparison. Nature-wise as well, it's all in light of animal husbandry and so forth. And to me, that's just when you have it every day right in front of you, it yeah is detriment. The coastline is absolutely amazing. Yeah, it is beautiful, I have to say.
Mm. But as with many things, humans have ruined it.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that is one of the questions I saw as well. Do you have hope for the future? And that's
Mm,
like it's easy to drift into that aspect, right? So
very much so.
I know, yeah.
V label then, we've all seen the little yellow and green logo
Yep,
on some of the many of the products that we buy. It's
yep.
a massive thing. Not the logo. The logo's small, but it's on so many different products.
Yeah.
What's the process then for getting your logo on a product?
So that's that seems like an easy question, but it's actually a bit complicated because honestly, before I started at V-Label, when I started out as a vegan myself, that was really a lot of help that I got from the label, but I didn't really consider like how does it end up on packaging, right? Like what is the whole procedure? And I have to say it's quite stringent. So we have a quality management team that does a lot of the auditing work. They look at the raw materials that are used for the products, the recipes and so forth. There's a threshold as well for certain contamination, which is very low, and that information can I think normally be found on our website as well, but definitely for manufacturers and brands is made available. So actually how the process really starts is through our partners, because I work for the international team, but we're a small team, with just well over a dozen. But we actually work with more than 30 partners worldwide. And that is the really cool thing. And we're really expanding now as well. That we have, for example, in Spain, is the Spanish Vegetarian Union. And they work with brands, manufacturers, retailers locally to actually see if they want to license some of those products. And then they start that licensing process, which can take up to a couple of weeks. Normally, we're quite fast, but they do a really in-depth investigation of what is really in there, where is it manufactured, and so forth. And once that is met, they sign the contract, and then it can end up in the packaging, but they have to adhere to a style guide as well. And what is actually quite interesting is since January, we've differentiated our labels because we're still very inclusive of vegetarian products, although that's an absolute minority of all the licensed products. Because of course, we know as well that people sometimes just want to reduce, they want to cut out certain things and not
Mm,
other things as a first step. Most of us are definitely vegan. I'm very mission aligned, of course, with that as well. But we do it to just showcase to people like this is a vegetarian product. If you want to just cut out already the meat, the fish, and so forth, the animal itself, that's one way to go. And those labels now look different. So they now have a green background instead of the same label with just vegetarian below. Because yeah, in the past I've had it as well. I came home very excited with something new, and then you look at it and oh, it's vegetarian, it's not vegan. So
Mm.
that was a drastic change, but a necessary one.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's quite a complex process, and there's quite a lot of work behind the scenes. But yeah, very happy that you've seen it around and that you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I think probably vegan magnums is the most exciting one that I've seen on.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's very Pavlovian, isn't it? Like whenever I see the label anywhere and it's on a product I don't know, I'm immediately drawn to it because it's so easy to identify. So yeah, it's really nice when, especially when it's like on a product like Magnums that you don't really always see when they make something vegan and it just jumps out. So
Mm,
yeah, that's nice.
yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned about the vegetarian thing as well. I've
Mm,
got that on my list down here that to ask you about because For example, my son likes those, like noodles, or not pot noodle, but it's similar to pot noodles, and
Yeah.
they're in different flavors, and some of them they've all got the same logo on, but
Yeah.
some say vegan and some say vegetarian, and I've nearly been caught out
Yeah.
thinking, oh yeah, there they go. Oh
Yeah.
no, wait a minute, hold on, it's got milk in it.
Exactly. Brands, so now through all these partners, and that's why it's really good as well for the brands themselves because they're in touch with a local partner in their language and so forth. And our
Mm.
partners have been distributing the new label since January as well to those brands, and they've been given a deadline of about approximately 2 years to change over the packaging. And we do give them some leeway as well to make sure they use the new labels because, of course, we don't want anything to go to waste. We don't want to up their costs, especially for small brands that have a little turnover. They might have packaging that they need for, a year or two, actually, especially if, it's still within the expiration date. And as well, we know that even though it's this, the same size of label, for example, it is reprinting and everything, and maybe even getting a graphics designer. So we know it comes with a cost.
Mm.
So we're not pressuring brands all too much, but we know that it'll phase out. And of course, for brands itself themselves, it's better to have the new label because people will be able to differentiate easily, and it'll draw even more attention. So, yeah, within a couple of years, we know that that won't happen anymore. You won't come home as a vegan with vegetarian products. No.
So do you get brands coming to you, or do you seek out those brands?
Both. So definitely both. Retail is the same. We do a lot of B2B, content generation as well. For example, on the websites, we've got a webinar coming up in 2 weeks' time. So actually the 7th of June, in light of World Ocean Day, regarding plant-based seafood and fish alternatives and so forth. And we do get a lot of attention and, of course, leads through that, brands that might be interested and so forth. So we do reach out. We go to trade fairs as well, which is always very interesting.
Mm.
But yeah, brands do come to us because they know us, they see as well that competitors have it. And as well, they know that, of course, the amount of vegans, vegetarians, but more than anything, people who reduce and flexitarians is growing significantly, and it just makes it so much easier. So if they want to be competitive as well, and we see that with big brands that are not to in their core mission aligned, they carry the label as well because they know it's a big benefit because normally their products are not always, vegetarian or vegan. Oh, if you hear any slurping in the background, that's just my dog having a drink. That's this is yeah, very
No
real
problem.
podcasting indeed.
It's all right. It makes it all the more natural.
Yeah,
That's fine.
exactly. It's not like I'm in a lush garden with a fountain or anything for the listeners that they think, oh, like, yeah, not in Spain. No, no, it's just my dog. Retailers as well are very much recognizing right now that they have to cater to a wide audience and really make sure that their consumers can easily find the things. Lidl is just exemplary in that regard because, for example, the German Lidl already indicated that they definitely want to have more and more vegan products. They have a really big range, for example, as well. And you mentioned, the label, it's big, but it's quite small. Well, actually, they print it out quite big. So sometimes you have
Ah.
these posters or folders, and it's amazingly big, the label that's on there. So that's the nice thing. They do a lot of that promotional work of veganism actually for us. So yeah, that's definitely something that we like, that those brands actually push it as well in a very positive manner to consumers. Like, just try this, Oh.
Mm.
Mm.
I've
Oh,
seen
magic.
I've seen like a couple of times on social media about people that you said about Lidl and that their plant based range is cracking as we know.
Yeah.
But there's been sometimes you see on social media where people have gone into places like Lidl and it turns out that it's got the vegan label on it, but it isn't vegan. It's got milk or something in it. Is that just an error, or is that something that like?
Oh, normally Lidl is very strict as well with their, because they, of course, they don't produce everything themselves. They work with manufacturers.
Right.
And the auditing process and so forth is quite strict and very, very diligent. So that would definitely surprise me.
Mm.
I don't know of any of those real world examples myself. I maybe in the past. Maybe it has happened. I'm absolutely not sure. I mean, mistakes can happen. That is definitely the case. But from my knowledge, especially with a retailer like Lidl, where they were actually pushing a lot of their manufacturers as well to, to get the label so they can get them in their range and everything like that. I don't know of any examples. There's, for example, one situation that I can talk about for sure. But that's more difficult. That was in gastronomy, because Burger King have their vegan burger,
Yeah.
and everything from, of course, the ingredients to the procedure of how to make it, that it's not in the same fryer or the same pans or anything like that. That it's all completely separate from anything from with animal ingredients. Normally, that procedure, Burger King as well, they do their own inspections and everything like that to make sure that people follow those procedures.
Right.
But in Germany, I think, was it in November, December, there was an undercover news story where they actually went into Burger King and, as workers, whatever, and they actually were instructed by someone there, no, it doesn't matter, just take the meat patty instead of the vegan one, and, we just sell it as the vegan one. That is, of course, not. Yeah, that's a difficulty, right? That's one individual person whom maybe really doesn't, give a, I don't know what word I can use on your podcast, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, that doesn't, say anything about Burger King themselves, because they do have the intention of really offering, more and more plant-based products as well to the market. They know that they have to adapt or perish. So they want to do the good thing, but then again, sometimes it's in the hands of just one person, and there it can go wrong. And of course, it got a lot of media attention, and especially, of course, vegans, vegetarians, they're absolutely disgusted by that, so they don't want to go anymore. So that's why the trust in the label for us is incredibly important. Someone who's flexitarian, they might not have that moral disgust. They might just want to reduce. They have no problem in itself maybe with eating animal products, but still, when even they order a vegan product, they want to know sure that that's what they're getting. But yeah, imagine being a vegan and going to Burger King, and a week later you see that, yeah, exactly, on the news. So that's the difficulty, right? For us, it's impossible to, install cameras in every Burger King, for example, in Germany, and watch every vegan burger that they make. So in that sense, you can't always 100% guarantee. But with all the audits we do, with all the work our quality management team does, and all the partners actually, how hard they work to make sure it's as safe as possible. Yeah, it would amaze me if something like that for Lidl that would slip through the cracks. So in that sense, yeah, we do. That's a thing, right? How do you talk about guaranteeing that something is 100% vegan? Errors can be made, but yeah, no, we do our absolute best to make sure that you know what you actually get. Oh.
That's really good.
There's always a lot of trust when somebody else is preparing your food, isn't there?
Yeah.
You have to put a lot of trust in the person. Like you say, all it needs is one disgruntled member of staff who says, "Do you know what? Screw these vegans. I'm going to give them meat."
But with big
what can you do?
repercussions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, absolutely, massive repercussions. But
they lost their license. Burger King Germany have lost their license.
really? Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That, because I mean, and let's be honest, that is income as well. That is licensing of so many restaurants and everything. So, that's the thing. I mean, we make money from the licenses, so we can grow, so we can invest in more and more brands and everything, pushing retailers as well to take vegan products in and everything. A lot of our revenue goes back to the partners as well, and they're always mission aligned local NGOs. So that's the great thing. But yeah, like once we know, this damages the trust that a consumer might have, out. That's the thing. Like, you have to adhere to that as well, and you have to be strict in that. So we hope we can restore that trust with them, and that they can actually show, we're definitely going to do our work. But we know as well, for them, it's the same with just normal hygienic procedures, right? It's like anyone can put anything in your burger. Yeah, that's the thing, as you say.
Unless you go to Austria, Burger King Austria, bring it on.
Oh, what's up with Burger King Austria?
Austria's got like proper vegan Burger Kings, haven't they?
Oh, yeah, the fully vegan ones.
Yes. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's still. I don't know if it was temporary.
I think it was one restaurant is still going.
Okay, that's amazing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's
So
I'm checking
Tim,
it out.
oh sorry, yeah. While he Googles that, have you ever gone out to, has a company ever asked you to go out and check their procedures and stuff, and you found out that there's an animal ingredient that they were completely not aware of, and it's come as a massive shock to them? Because, for example, things like, I found out only last week that there's something that sometimes is put in bread that's made of duck feathers,
oh
and sometimes isn't
wow.
made of duck feathers, and it's got the same name, so you
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily know whether one you've got is vegan or not vegan. So
Yeah.
has that cropped up that you know of?
Um, Not that I know of. Then again, I'm not directly involved with quality management. So I do help taking care of those urgent matters, for example, with Burger King, but as well certain
Mm.
um, um, European legislation that was passed that they will be allowed to even put like, crickets and, other insects, for example,
I
in
saw
in
that.
food. Yeah, yeah, those things are just crazy. So
Yeah.
I have it in my hands as communication, but not in the audits and everything. The thing is as well that we ourselves don't do those audits ourselves because, of course, you can imagine we work with almost 5,000 brands now, with about
Really?
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, with about 50,000 products. So it's very difficult to just go in there, do the visits, because we're not, like inspectors in that sense. So
Mm.
we do work together with other organizations who are actually specialized in that, and we definitely do so. But the thing is as well, our quality team gets the whole list of the raw materials, the raw ingredients, and the producers as well, and they will actually check with the producers from those raw materials as well, really where it's sourced and what it contains. So that's the thing, right? You always have cross-contamination if it's made in a factory, for example, or product plant where they use for the same kettle anything like milk, it has to be on there, can
Mm.
contain traces of. So that's something that no one can avoid really. Um, but to me, it would be very surprising, once again, like especially if it's something like bread, which is quite straightforward. E numbers can be a bit tricky, but even there, they go to the producer and look at
Mm.
that product has the same name and it can be from plant origin or animal origin. Which one is it that you use? And if they indicate, oh, we use either, well, then the recipe isn't considered vegetarian or vegan. So in that sense, it's discarded. So they do have to get the guarantee. Absolutely. Yep.
God, it's really complicated, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It
Wow.
is. To me, it's mind-blowing. The thing is as well that every country is very different. All producers work on a different level as well, and a lot of these manufacturers are all over the world. They're global,
Mm.
but they source from different manufacturers, producers for raw materials, and they make it at different plants. So even if you have a composed ingredient, it can be made in various locations worldwide. And for the same kind of product, if it's manufactured in one country, it might be vegan, but in another one, maybe not. And to me, that is still something that, I'm trying to to grasp because it is so complex. So yeah,
Mm.
in the end, you just see the label on the product, but there's so much going on behind the scenes. And I have to do shout
Yeah.
out to our quality management team and all the partners involved in that because they're really the experts and it's a tremendous amount of work. So yeah, no, I absolutely love it as well because it gives you that trust as well that people put, a lot of their efforts in making sure that you get the right stuff.
Mm. Absolutely. I only learned recently, I think through listening to Compassion and Cucumbers podcast, that
Okay. Yeah.
In the US, bone char is added to sugar,
Yeah. That
which
is.
is like well, literally the bones of animals to
Yep.
make it, I don't know, to make it whiter. I'm not sure.
Yeah. That
Um,
that can happen.
Fortunately,
Yep.
that isn't done over here. So that's a perfect example of an ingredient that across the EU and the UK, I'm pretty sure is going to be just sugar, and over
Yep.
there, it's not even vegan. Like,
No.
Yep.
what's going on? And yet,
Exactly.
like, you could have a product here that's got the vegan label on it, and you go over there on holiday perhaps and think, oh yeah, I've had that at home, it's fine. and you don't even notice it hasn't got the logo on it, and it turns
Yeah.
out it's because it's got sugar made of animals
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah, it's crazy. They put it in everything, and it's not even necessary, but we all know that there's a lot of money involved just to make sure that they can put that amount of ingredients in there as well to have that distribution, up the price even with a couple of cents, and make a lot of cash with it as well. And yeah, exactly. And that's why we're very happy to have those local partners as well who are there in the country who
Mm.
can actually work to do those checks as well, because otherwise, it's very difficult to manage it as just one central organization, one organization to just go after all these recipes and all these raw ingredients. So, but yeah, it's tremendously complex, and honestly, I think it'll become even more complex because now we're expanding into markets where veganism is still very new,
Mhm.
even for manufacturers. So they might actually think, oh yeah, that like what we make is vegan, but they haven't considered, for example, the recipes of, the ingredients, the composed ingredients that they buy themselves because they have never, it's like Inception, like there's so many levels to it. So yeah, you have to go a
So
bit
if
deeper
Michael
sometimes.
Caine's in it, then with the logo, does that mean it's a dream or it's not a dream?
I
I'm not
I
sure.
I I think quite violent. Michael Caine is quite known for, like the violent
Yeah,
films as well, right?
that's
Um,
true.
yeah. I don't know. I'd rather have what's his name? The amazing actor from Babe.
Uh,
Oh God,
yeah.
James something.
Yeah, James Cromwell.
That sounds right.
Yeah,
Oh
it might
God,
be. I don't
that's
know.
all.
Yeah, bad with it. But
Hold
yeah,
on.
no. If you want
I'm,
to get an
I'm
actor in there, like I'd sleep better for sure.
hold on. I'm frantically checking now.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
James Cromwell.
James
Yes.
Cromwell. Yes, well done.
Our research department was on it within
Oh,
seconds.
nice.
Yes, very good research department. Yeah, we don't pay them enough, I don't think.
So Tim, what's your vegan story? What made you change?
So it began over 20 years ago. I wouldn't say I was such a young lad. I'm 42 now. So yeah, it started actually in the hardcore punk scene in Belgium. So that's where I come from. And in Belgium, there was a very strong vegan straight edge movement. For people who don't know what straight edge means, it's that you abstain from drugs, alcohol, promiscuity. That is quite open to interpretation. Same with drugs, of course, like caffeine. There's people who abstain from that as well, and everything. But yeah, the veganism was definitely a part of that, and there were a lot of bands actually promoting that message. And in that movement, it was so easy as well to find vegan food and people speaking about veganism as well on stage as off stage. And when I got into the scene, I had a lot of resistance as well to veganism and the whole message. I still smoked, drank a lot of alcohol and so forth. And to me, those are completely disconnected from each other. But I became first straight edge, and then about a year later, I actually went vegetarian after a lot of debates and a lot of cognitive dissonance, a lot of resistance. But yeah, I decided, okay, let's try. I'm going vegetarian. And after half a year, I felt like, why am I even still eating anything from animals? And at Ypres, which is a Belgian hardcore festival, which has always been fully vegan, very DIY, very green and everything. Yeah, amazing fest. And I decided to go vegan there and then. And a friend who had been vegetarian ever since she was like 10 said, like, I'm going vegan with you. And we just decided there and then to just yeah, to just not participate in it anymore. And that was really nice because I, even though like it's been more than 20 years now, and you might think like, oh, that must have been really difficult. I felt very supported because, my best friends, were vegan, um, food at home, vegan A's and everything like that. It was so easy to get by. I went to so many hardcore shows like on a weekly basis as well, and you can always get something, to eat and everything, and you feel supported. So that really helped me to, not have to feel isolated. So that was definitely great. And yeah, I haven't looked back since, of course. So only going forward.
Fantastic. That's excellent. So I think that level of support is a really key thing. So
Mm.
Wes has been vegan about 6 weeks longer than me. Both our wives are vegan. Having that
Great.
little quad of fellow
Yeah.
vegans right from the start
Yeah.
made such a difference. I think doing it by yourself in a family setting, especially where you're having to cook your own meals and source all your own food and everything like that,
Yeah.
that would be a real struggle, wouldn't it? I think that would be
Yeah.
really hard.
Yeah. No, it was honestly, I am quite feisty. I was a lot more stubborn, but that's the thing as well, right? Like it was a paradigm shift for me as well. And that what to me, I know that's one of the questions that you normally would ask as well, like what makes going vegan difficult or what is difficult to being vegan. It's of course, as you say, the surroundings when you don't have that safe bubble around you where people understand where you come from. And once you make that paradigm shift and you see violence all around, so that's now that I live in northern Spain, yeah, I see farms everywhere. I see these cows that I know that within a couple of weeks won't be there. I see the calves and everything. I see as well, the forest that they cut down to put eucalyptus trees and then cut those down every 3, 5 years or something like that. You see all that violence around you that when you grow up, you're blind to because it's just very normal. It's necessary, the three ends and everything. Um, but once you make that click, it's very difficult to, in your mind, at least for me, to be peaceful inside and out. And yeah, I had some of the typical angry vegan debates, especially in the beginning.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I cooked my own meals, and honestly, I have to say, like even 20 years ago in Belgium, there were options already because people have been, walking that path, and there were bio shops and everything where they had, of course, just ecological stuff, but vegetarian and vegan stuff, and even with the V label. So I have to say, yeah, exactly, just a couple, but that were absolutely available already. And that's the thing, like once you switch the mindset, to me, it was never difficult, like leaving stuff off my plate. It was just dealing with society. But yeah, no, it was definitely an interesting journey. Yeah. But I'm
Mm.
happy that you have that, that connection in your family and yeah, that people to rely on and that speak the same language more or less.
Yeah,
Mm.
because certainly in the early days when you might be having a bit of a wobble and thinking, "Oh God, this is really difficult," you've just got that other person to say, "Oh, don't be ridiculous. Come on,
Yeah,
police off to get that kind of thing." We
exactly.
can do it.
I think
But
it,
certainly,
sorry,
go on, Wes.
I think it's fascinating how that switch works as well, because for me, I went overnight, and the Sunday before I'd watched Cowspiracy, I'd have been drinking milk and eating whatever I was eating, and the
Mm,
next day I couldn't have thought of anything worse.
yeah,
That's that switch will never go back.
yeah,
You know,
Mm.
it's such an
And
odd feeling.
yeah, and consistently, the answer to the biggest struggle question is other people. It's not about the food.
Mm.
It's about knowing what other people do.
yeah,
um, which is yeah, which is really hard to get over, isn't it? To
yeah,
just see it, like you said, like you were saying, you live just up the road from a dairy farm, and
yeah.
that just must be so difficult.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because that's the thing, like in Barcelona, I lived on the edge of Barcelona, right next to a forest, and everything was just really nice. And that's where I'm actually moving back as well. So I've got a vegan city, but I still have nature and everything. Um, and the thing is that there I felt very shielded because a lot of my friends are vegan. There's lots of places to go. People know what it is. There's a lot of big farms there, but that means as well that apart from the occasional truck that you see passing by with pigs, pig farms are closed. Um, which I know because I visited them several of them at
Wow.
night. Actually, yeah, and they're not always that easy to get into. But here it's very different because it's animals that are outside. You see them all the time, and these farms have their doors wide open. So I walk around in the neighborhood and there's several farms around. And you can just walk in if you'd like to, and you see these animals just, the ones that are not outside, especially, the cows that are, have just become mothers. They're just in there and you hear them as well. And I saw, and sorry for the visual description, but I saw a farmer a couple of weeks ago just pushing a little calf into one of those typical transportation trucks. And you know where they're headed, and that's the thing. It just doesn't feel all too safe. So yeah, if you think about mental health, to me that is no good, because here veganism is so new that I don't have these people to rely on. I don't
Yes.
know any vegans here myself, and I've been here
Oh,
for about
wow.
half a year. So yeah, that's reason why I'm
That's
moving
hard
back as
work.
well. Yeah, mental
Mm.
health is detrimental. So your context, no matter how hard you try to be stoic or zen, does have that impact. And I think we do need to recognize that as well, that sometimes it's very hard to cope. I know you interviewed as
Yes.
well and the singer, I thought it was from Vistopia, and I know Vistopia is that term as well from the book, regarding really like how you see the world as, and how you deal with it and
Hmm.
everything. And yeah, that's very much the case. It's very difficult to deal with sometimes.
There's nothing better than a hunk of prime Labrador steak, wonderfully marbled. And that is almost entirely dependent on how it's produced. Elwood's Organic Dog Meat has complete control of this entire journey. So I'm here at Elwood's farm to find out a little more about it.
Welcome to Elwood Farms.
Thank you very much, Elwood.
I hear you do a bit of barbecuing.
I do a little bit of barbecuing every now and then, yes. From a chef's point of view, consistency is key for everything.
It doesn't matter if it's a Rottweiler ribeye, a Pyrenees mince, or a lab sirloin.
You can always tell when the dog comes from a place where it was well reared, and every step has to be right, doesn't it? Oh, you should see these guys. So, from an Elwood's point of view, there's complete traceability.
Absolutely, unrivaled traceability, so it's fine.
Every single piece of dog meat,
Yeah, from pub to farmer's market.
everything the dog's been fed,
Everything about it.
for each dog.
Yeah, only Marks and Spencer's and Whole Foods do this.
Where else can people order from?
From elwooddogmeat.com. That's ELWOOD dogmeat.com.
For top quality meat from dogs for people, meat that's local, sustainable, and humanely harvested, there's only Elwood's Organic Dog Meat. They seem pretty friendly, don't they? They're more responsive to me than my kids, to be honest.
You said when you went vegan, then you and your best friend went at the same time. So that was a great support. But what was your family's reaction and other friends?
I'll be honest, like most of my friends were already in that kind of space, and I did have discussions with people after recently becoming vegan, even just having very intense debates with people who had been vegetarian for many, many years. But I felt like, like I was vegetarian for half a year, now I'm vegan. Like I don't understand why you don't. So even within that space, we had a couple of those reactions, but that's the thing. Like they all knew, like all the people I hung out with practically knew what veganism was and so forth, and definitely respected it as a choice. So that was easy. Family, yeah, I mean, my mum's mostly vegetarian. My dad and brother aren't. I wasn't able to convince them. That's the most difficult, thing of all, I think, anyhow. But yeah, because I mean, I wasn't a teenager anymore. I was, 20, what is it, 21? It wasn't like I had to justify myself all that much. I could go to the store, just get my own stuff and cook my own meal as well in that sense. So that made it a lot easier. And not long after, I went living by myself anyhow. So, in that way, it makes it a lot easier as well. I can imagine if you're a child and you get yanked away from that typical worldview, and you don't want to participate, and you truly see where where the food comes from, but you're 6 or 8 or 10. Peter Singer calls them the Da Vincians, right? The people who come to the conclusion without any external inputs on nudging you towards veganism, who actually have that innate empathy and compassion already, which right now I think in the digital age is very difficult to do because, I think most people in the Western world have seen, the vegan messaging and so forth. But yeah, I can't imagine what it must be as a child to be in that situation with parents that, are very reluctant to actually cater to your ethical desires there. So to me, it wasn't, I definitely don't want to victimize myself in that situation, because it still felt very much as I can at least choose what I eat. I don't have to fight with anyone, and if I don't want to eat it, I don't want to go to a restaurant or anything. I can decide it as an adult for myself. So yeah, that definitely felt privileged. Even then, even when the alternatives weren't that abundant, it definitely felt like, I'm very privileged that I can make that decision and no one can stop me or oblige me to eat anything that comes from an animal anymore. No.
That's good. I like that.
Did you feel that anything had changed when you made that transition? Like mentally, physically, anything like that? Obviously, you were vegetarian before, so it might not have been that.
Yeah. Physically, I mean, when you're in your early 20s, like they can throw a rock at you, right? Like I'm double the age now, and that definitely isn't the case anymore. But I do think, well, yeah, actually, I always had an upset stomach even as a child, and I don't know if it was any, lactose intolerance. I didn't have any allergies or anything, but it did good for my stomach. But I have to say, like, I've always been quite healthy apart from my, couple of years as a late adolescent with the drugs and everything like that. But I had gone like completely drug free and smoke free the year before as well. And I think that had a big impact as well. So that muddles the experience as well. Mentally, yeah, I remember, especially those first couple of years, that it was a very active reminder every day. Like, I am so happy I'm vegan. And even though you deal with this, society, family, and so forth, and many people not understanding or teasing, like at work as well, when you're having lunch together and so forth, um, like I still very much woke up most of those days like, wow, what a good decision have I made. And honestly, like still now, like I walk around and I feel so grateful as well. And I think that's quite important for our mental health as well. Like I'm doing my part to cut out that suffering, and I don't want to play that role. And yeah, I'm very grateful as well for the people who then, especially my best friend then, who had been vegan for a couple of years already. He pushed me so hard as well. And I remember that with a group of hardcore kids, we were sitting around and having fries and burgers, and I think I was the only non-vegetarian, non-vegan person. And I actually went vegetarian then because one of the guys, imitated an animal with the sound with every bite I took. So it was very much the trolling, teasing kind of thing. But the other way around, because the majority, of course, were already vegetarian, vegan, and I was the one out. And that felt like a lot of pressure, but like there and then, like that was a connection I needed as well. Like, I can't do this anymore. And I'm very grateful to those people who actually pushed me and informed me and everything. So, yeah, I've actually tried to pay it forward ever since. So I'm very grateful for that.
Do you make the animal noises to other people now?
Well, I don't know if in Spain that will work. They very much know what they're doing. That's the thing. Like it's here, just as in the UK, I can imagine. In Belgium, you don't walk into a supermarket and you see half a pig hanging down.
Yeah.
Here,
Yes.
people have,
Yes.
yeah, that's the thing. It's still very different, and it's still much more steeped in, you know, you still have bullfights in Spain and everything like that. So in that sense, they have catching up to do. That is just like many cultures. So if I would do it here, I don't know what kind of reaction I will get. I did a lot of activism, various sorts and everything like that. So rather than just making animal sounds, because when you're around the table, when people are stuffing their face with food, it's normally not the best way to do it. It's not the best time. There's so much cognitive dissonance and get bad reactions. When actually people talk about my food, like, and want to ask, like, oh, well, did you go vegan and we're eating? I just tell them, like, let's eat. In
I'll
and
tell you
after
after.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they'll get
I've had
less
that
angry.
so many times. Often it's when I've been out for a meal with work colleagues,
Yeah.
and you order the vegan option, and they'll say, "Oh, you, are you vegan?" Because they don't know, and you
Yeah.
say, "Yeah, yeah." Oh, why is that then? You're like, "Let's you eat
Yeah.
your dead animal first, and then we'll talk about it afterwards."
Yeah.
I don't want
Here's a
to. I don't want to
podcast.
put you off. Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? I mean, yeah, you don't have to do it then because you have so many other ways and times that you can do it. And the fact that you guys are running a podcast is just absolutely admirable. It's absolutely amazing, and that's what we need. No, absolutely. I know it's a tremendous effort. I know it's difficult to get it out there with the ocean of podcasts and even where you get them and everything. I know it's very difficult to reach that kind of audience and everything like that. But it's what we need. It's to really show that we're just all human beings, but we see the world differently, and we just want to be compassionate for everyone in it.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Mm.
We're just here for vegans and non-vegans, just anyone who's curious, if you like.
Exactly. That's a one. That's a nice
Because
one. Yeah.
someone might hear something and think, "Oh yeah, actually, I'd never thought of it like that."
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
then there we go.
Okay.
This is the
Wow.
big bingo question, Tim. Where'd you get your protein?
Oh, oh, that's interesting. I mean, I'll be honest, I've never been much of a foodie, and I cook very, very basic meals. Like in the beginning when I'm in vegan, it's a lot of like experimenting, and especially if you're in your early 20s, like you have the energy and everything, and you try very, exotic recipes and everything like that. I bought an air fryer when I moved here about a couple of months ago, because there's no oven, and now I just put like veggies in there, and it's like something with rice or lentils and so forth. Um, I'm right now actually going back to running, with the idea of going back to Catalonia as well, because here is just climbing and surfing because, nature is destroyed anyway. And I trail run. And now because in November I'm going to do another race that I did 2 years ago as well. It's a 45K in the mountains. And it's
Sorry, I thought. Sorry, Tim. I thought you said 45K. Then I must have misheard you.
Yeah, no, believe me, that's actually on the low side. And I know you've had runners on here before as well, people who ran a marathon every month and so forth. It's in the mountains, so it's like 2,700 meters of altitude gain. But I have a vegan friend actually in Australia, with whom I actually worked managing a vegan restaurant there as well. And he's gotten into trail running because of me. And we're talking so much about nutrition lately because of that, and especially about protein and how important it is as well. And I get sufficient protein if I don't have, those very long runs just from my food, and it's just basic stuff. I do eat, I love seitan. I'll make my own seitan from gluten and everything like that. So I get sufficient there. But I do take my protein shakes, especially after long runs, a 20K run, for example. I do take protein because, your muscles have to regenerate. It's not a normal, physical effort at 20K even. So you do have to replenish. So yeah, I get it from very basic food and then the very complex. I have to say like high grade, sports nutrition as well.
Do you want to name it? Do you have a particular product or just
Now
whatever you can get hold of?
now I'm trying one. I can't have a look. Bear with me 1 second.
Yeah, go on.
So this is it's obviously vegan. It says that quite big as well.
Oh yeah.
So
Chocolate flavor.
yeah, chocolate flavor. Like it's that or cookies and vanilla and stuff. No matter what it is, it doesn't taste good, right? I don't like taking it. But
That is
it's
so
nice.
true.
Yeah, it's gross. So it's not like I take it to bulk up or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's it says as well, plant-based, sugar-free, free from artificial flavors and colors. I won't shout out the brand. Unless you want to bleep it out, and then you can go to the brand and maybe get some sponsoring on. But
This
yeah.
stuff tastes horrible. It's by this company.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's great. It lasts a long time, and I get a good value for my buck as well. I'm not sure it's the best one. This one, I'm just testing it right now. I've tried with several. Actually, my buddy in Australia takes pure protein, so it's pure pea and rice. So not the urine, but the actual pea protein. So yeah, it's you never know, right? Like
That would be extreme.
runners
I
are
mean,
a
they
weird
call
bunch.
vegans, yeah, they call a vegan diet extreme, but drinking urine is too
Hey,
far.
Bear Grylls survives in the hotel, so yeah, that's the but yeah, that's the thing. It's just he says it's even worse than the ones with the flavor, with like chocolate flavor and everything, but you just gulp it down and you try to keep it down. But yeah, that's the thing. Like it's just pure pea and rice protein, so what you actually would eat, but just condensed. So you don't even need any of the fancy ones with the added aromas and what is it, like a cocoa powder and so forth. You can actually have something that is purely plant-based, no chemicals, and it's just a protein that they extract from there. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so a lot more, I guess it's, well, a bit more natural than, like you say, stuff that with load of chemicals and flavorings added and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I might, if I can get my hands on that here in Europe, I'd actually like it more as well, because I know there's no aromas and no salts or anything like that, or certain agents and anything. Even though like this is absolutely way better than just the whey powder and everything like that, and other things. I might want to give it a try and see how I feel.
Cool. What's the best thing about being vegan?
That's an obvious one, right? Not hurting animals. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, just knowing as well that you can be an example for people, I think. I have to be honest, like especially here, I'm still an angry vegan. Like I'm still angry at what happens in the world. I'm very angry about climate change and everything like that, and everything that happens. But I do try to be as positive as possible towards people as well, and really show them like we can be kind without having to feel like we sacrifice, and actually, have a positive message in there. And I think the best thing about being vegan the second best thing then, is inspiring other people to, to follow the example. And yeah, that's why I'm very happy as well to work with V-Label, for example, because, all people that are mission aligned, getting to work with partners, and all 30 plus of them are just such amazing people. I had the pleasure as well of meeting them recently in March. We had a get together with all the partners in the international team, as well as the founders. We went to Prague, and it was amazing to just work with those people. We had workshops and everything, and there's so much experience and people from all over the world, like from Latin America, from all over Europe as well. Someone from South Africa, Asia, and so forth. And it's all people working towards the same goal. And that is just, to me, that is amazing to actually feel that connected as well, and know that these people are working for a better world as well. That is a luxury that most people don't have, to really work towards bettering. Like most people are not in that space, right? Like, yeah.
No,
So
you
to
might
me,
have one, maybe two people at work that that are vegan if you're lucky.
Yeah.
None if you're Wes. But certainly, like
I feel for you.
I know of, two, maybe three. But that's it. So yeah, having having the whole organization is there. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
You get
exactly.
30 people from around the world in one place. That's
No,
incredible.
That's pretty cool as well.
not 30 people. We were I think we were at a certain point 66 or something, because we have I think right now, what is it? We're onboarding another country as we speak. So I think we have 36 partners in 37 countries, if I'm correct. And those are partner organizations. So
Right, I'm
if
with
you
you.
look, yeah, so for example, the one in Germany has been with us for, I don't know how long is it? What is it, 18 years or something that they've been working with V-Label? Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
And their team, because the partner in Germany, for example, is ProVeg, which you might know as well. They're doing so much great work globally as well. They have so much expertise and so forth. And for example, the German team, they're bigger than the international team for V-Label. So yeah, they reach so many brands and so many people, and it's incredible. So it wasn't just like 30 people, it was 66 people. It was a full room. And it
That's
was just,
amazing.
yeah, absolutely mind blown. Delicious food as well, but more than anything, like hearing those people with all their experience speak about what it really is to be in the trenches every day is, yeah, it's I have to say it's heartwarming. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
Love that. Love that. Okay, this might be a tricky one for you to answer.
Yeah.
What's your favorite vegan product at the moment?
Gosh.
Obviously not protein powder.
No, absolutely not. That's a difficult one. Because that's the thing, right? I wouldn't say I'm set in my ways with what I consume. But it's interesting because I just had a meeting with two of my colleagues that we went to Bucharest. One of my colleagues lived there, and actually an inspiring colleague of mine. He's actually our co-director, Martin. He's from the Czech Republic. He's very much a foodie, knows so much about food as well, and is always very excited about new products and everything. And he likes to wander around supermarkets as well and find new stuff. And I'm the contrary. So I'm not looking for the newest chocolate or anything like that. If you are, actually, V-Label has launched a box right now with stuff from all over Europe, which is amazing, because if you want to get to know stuff, if you just go to the website, you look at our Instagram, you'll find it for sure. But that's the thing, like, I'm not a foodie, so I don't really care too much if there's something new, because I live such a basic food lifestyle. But I have to say, I tried a couple of new milks that they brought out, and one of them, it was in Lidl as well, and it was a mix of nuts, and it was of their like luxury range. It did have the label on there, and it was from I think pistachio, almond, and something else. And I have to say, my coffee never tasted better. And that was something that I really appreciated. Even though it was like that limited availability that they sometimes have to tease people out and so forth. But yeah, that was just a very nice unforeseen product that I was absolutely excited about once I tasted my coffee. Yeah. Sorry, I can't give just one straight
I love
answer.
that.
Like, that's what I like. It's just, yeah, sometimes a bit too
No,
complex
that's
for me.
fine. One of our first guests said their favorite vegan product was chickpeas, and
yeah,
I mean, that's bang on. Absolutely,
absolutely.
Fantastic answer.
Yeah.
And but we were both like, oh, we thought you were going to say Kit Kats or something.
I haven't tried them yet. I know they say, it's in big there, right? Like vegan Kit Kats and everything. But
yes,
yeah, I understand chickpeas. They're so versatile.
Oh, amazing. But I haven't had one of the vegan Kit Kats for a while, and then I went in a local shop the other day, and on the front of the vegan Kit Kat, it's called vegan Kit Kat, and in big letters, may contain milk.
Yeah, but
is it a vegan Kit Kat or is it not a vegan Kit Kat? Which is it?
Is it traces or is it actual milk?
So it's not in the ingredients, but I'm guessing it's contamination.
Yeah.
But still, if they put it that big on the front, then
yeah,
is it really a vegan Kit Kat?
Yeah, that's indeed.
So frustrating.
We should get in touch with them and see to license them, because then you'll definitely have
That's
clarity.
it.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
it's not
it.
easy to convince them though. I mean, like those like bigger brands and everything, it's difficult, but they know that soon enough they'll have to, yeah,
Mm.
like adhere to labels as well. But yeah, I
Yeah.
imagine you're holding off because of that as well. No.
Yeah. And I'm guessing the cost of they've got to change the whole production line, haven't they? They've got to invest in duplicate equipment to
Yeah.
make sure that it's produced on a separate line, so that then there's no chance of contamination. And the cost of that, it must be enormous for any company, but for a big company, if you're going to
Yep.
produce something on such scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That
I'll let them off.
that is true. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the thing is as well, like even if we don't buy it, there is a lot of, what would you call it? It's not really like greenwashing, but like vegan washing of products as well. Especially, and that's the thing, right? Like there's a lot of retailers and brands that just put vegan on anything, and then you find out it's not vegan because it hasn't been audited. There has been no inspection or anything. So even like for Kit Kat, they can do whatever. Although they might have a lot of backlash afterwards if it turns out it's not a vegan product, but they put it in bold big letters on the front of the packaging. But yeah, I mean, even if it's not 100% vegan and you would hold off because you don't trust it, um, in that sense, they notice that there's a shift in consumer demand. And to me, that is the biggest sign. Like, even if they don't do the audit and they're not officially, licensed by us or another of the labels out there of the vegan labels, um, they know, like they see it coming on the horizon, and they're trying things out already. So they will pivot. And in that sense, I am still very hopeful, that within 10 years, hopefully we'll see, different kinds of supermarkets and very different products on the shelves. Yep.
Fingers crossed.
Mm.
That would be great.
So, Tim, what advice would you give to anyone who comes to you wants to go vegan?
To take it very slow. Don't rush yourself. Don't beat yourself over the head once you go vegan for not having done it earlier. And that was definitely something that I had to cope with. Like, what have I done? Like, what have I been educated into? But more than anything, it depends as well. Like, if it's someone who, just wants to, that's the thing, right? Like, have they changed paradigm? Is it really regarding they see the world in a different light right now? Is it really like now they see that violence and they're confronted with it every time they walk into a supermarket? I think for those people, I would say make sure you get mental health support if it's too much. Talk to people, get out into nature, and try to find happiness in the small things as well, because that's sometimes difficult. And that's very different advice for someone who's a flexitarian and thinks, oh yeah, I know it's climate change and everything. Like, they don't still identify with, veganism as such, for example, and don't necessarily see the world differently, but they know that there's a necessity to make those changes. There, I would definitely say just participate, for example, in those challenges, veggie challenges, vegan challenges, Veganuary, and so forth, because they're amazing at supporting people. Try to find as well local vegan groups if you can, to just meet people, have potlucks, and so forth. Surround yourself with people who are, already lead that kind of lifestyle and can actually show you the ropes and everything like that. And take it slow enough. It's baby steps. And if you have to reduce first and then vegetarian and then, like vegan 3 times a week, if that's the path you need to actually get there, go for it. If you're ready to make that change immediately, go for it as well. That's the thing. Like, as long as we go there and we know that where we're going.
Yes, absolutely. And I know I always bang on about it, and Wes gets really annoyed, but vegan runners for me, the running club was provided that service,
Nice.
if you like,
Yeah.
because as soon as you join up, and it's like £9 a year, you get put in touch with like your local rep who will contact you and meet you at the local park run, or just
That's amazing.
you know, a run or whatever. So it's a really good way of finding other vegans because
Yeah.
you know, how else are you going to do it?
Yeah.
Um,
Community
we
is so
could all get the
important.
logo tattooed on our head, perhaps.
Yeah. Although it's nice as well to sneak into situations where like where people don't realize you're vegan, and then that's the thing, right? Like if they don't know immediately. I mean, I'm tattooed. I have now they're a bit small, but like these you know, like
Oh yeah, I can see them.
dilatations and so forth. That's the thing. Like I very much look the part as well, so people can expect it from me. Um, but nevertheless, it's nice when people get to know you, and it's not the first thing that get to know about you, and then it's like, oh wait, you're vegan, really? And that's a nice way as well to just like be vegan in very normal situations and very general situations.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're vegan. I thought you were normal. That sort of
Yeah.
that,
Normal plus.
that's oh yes, I'm normal plus. So, who's your vegan inspiration then? You mentioned, you know, your best friend who went vegan at the same time and some of your colleagues, but anybody else? Any other shout outs that you might have?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, so definitely kudos to the people who brought me to veganism, because I know definitely like there's a couple of individuals out there. There's so many people who are truly inspirational. I have no heroes because when they fall, it's so, and that's the thing, right? Like especially with certain personalities, and they go vegan, and then suddenly they're not vegan anymore. There's people I admire just for the amount of work they do, activists who do it anonymously, for example, as well. So really who I admire is everyone who's out there contributing. I've worked with some amazing, amazing people throughout the years in a wide variety of settings. I At university I set up a students organization, to promote veganism and talk about speciesism and so forth. And I worked with a couple of people who are way younger than myself, who just recently turned vegan and had so much passion and such a motivation. And just to see those people just dig in and give it their all, um, it's very difficult to just pick one individual,
Yeah,
honestly.
sure.
That's
Oh
the
yeah,
thing. Um,
that must be so motivating to have to see, you know, that sort of enthusiasm in so
yeah,
many people.
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. When you feel sometimes alone in a non-vegan world, if you think about all the organizations, all the sanctuaries, all the people who are out there on the streets and everything like that, even if you think like that kind of activism is not really something that I think either helps, is the most effective and efficient, or you might not fully agree with, for example, because the intention is there, right? They try to
Yes.
change the world in their way. And I think that pluralism is important as well, to recognize that and to know that they do it because they have the same feelings towards animals and the world like you. The
Mm.
way of trying to change people's behavior is just different. And yeah, that's definitely something that I appreciate as well, to see all those different efforts. And it made me feel less alone in many moments of my life as well, when you thought like, why is it like this? And I know I'm not the only one going through with this. No.
Absolutely.
So, do you have hope for the future then? You
Ah,
mentioned you mentioned it earlier on, but now we're here.
yeah, that's a difficult question, mate. Um,
It is.
it is difficult. There's this, actually, Martin, the co-director of V-Label International, recommended this series recently, Extrapolations. I think it's from like Apple TV, I think, and it's about climate change. And every chapter, I don't watch a lot of series or anything. I've seen 2 episodes so far. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue, I'll be honest. Every episode is set like so many years further in the future, and it's really purely about climate change and everything like that, and it gets worse and worse apparently.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I felt like, oh, you're still quite optimistic with your predictions, like 2057, and we're still living in normal cities. And I'm like, that's like 30 years ago, 30 years away, 35 years ago. honestly, and I'm sorry for people listening, I don't want to give anyone more climate anxiety that they might have. But to me, yeah, I'll be honest. We have to talk about mental health. I have a big sense of dread because right now I'm going back to, to Barcelona. And even here, like I'm in Cantabria right now, which is, part of northern Spain. They used to have more rain, but in Catalonia, they're in a bit of a state of alert because they haven't had proper rain in about half a year or something like that. And there's, of course, a big risk of of forest fires and so forth, but as well, that the water reservoirs are being depleted and everything like that. So in that sense, capitalism, Elon Musk wanting to send people to space in rockets that just burn up so much fuel, put so much CO2 in there, and then he's boasting about electric vehicles. And I'm thinking like, can't you put your $44 billion in something else than an online platform or something like that? So
Yep.
do I believe in the fate of humanity? I'm absolutely not a tech optimist. But I do think even more than veganism in itself, because we know it's very difficult, right? Like the term has existed since, what is it, 1946, and ever since, the vegan society as well, like doing a lot of work and all the organizations throughout the world and V-Label and so forth. And look how many we are. We're still very much a minority. So I do think that the change will come from the markets, and I think the markets will have to change within hopefully just a couple of years. Cultured meat, cultured dairy, and that they will just force out um, within capitalism, because we can't, let's be honest, we can't get rid of that system uh, overnight. Like no matter what kind of activism you do, that is here at the time being, unless there's like a global collapse, that is the system we're going to have to accept for at least the next, I don't know how many decades. So if you can't undo the system, like how do you change the system so it's less evil, so to speak? And I think, for example, cultured meat will be a game changer in that sense. Because I know most people who don't want to go vegan, they might have to get cultured meat because there's no hormones in there. It will be, in maybe 10, 15 years cheaper than normal meat. Um, they'll have to cut all the subsidies. For example, in Europe, there's so much money that still goes to meat, to dairy, all these industries that lobby real hard, that then overproduce, have a lot of emissions. And when they're not happy, when they actually want to put restrictions for emissions or cut subsidies, like in the Netherlands, they actually sprayed cow crap over I think it was the European Parliament like half a year ago, because they were protesting because they had to lower their CO2 emissions. So, that industry, they're going to be on their knees. And
They're
I
going to need
see,
a lot of support to change, aren't they?
well,
Otherwise,
let's be
they will
honest.
just all be made
Yeah, I mean,
homeless and redundant, will they?
well, that's the thing. Like yeah, farmers will have to pivot. They
Mm.
they won't be able to sustain. So there's a couple of really good projects. It's the book Grilled by, I forgot the name. She's amazing. She's from Mercy for Animals. I think it's her. She did Garcia, I think her name is. Her surname. She actually was talking to chicken farmers in the US on how they're trapped as well in those contracts and so forth, and how difficult it is to get out. And there are projects to actually transition farmers out of those contracts and that necessity to actually work with animals and actually do something better with whatever they have, like fields or location or so forth. But let's be honest, yes, so many of them will be out of a job. Same with AI, self-driving cars and everything, so they'll have to adapt like anyone of us. um but to me, the priority, and I'll be honest, is not jobs right now. It's really like animal lives, climate change, our health, human population, nutrition as well. With the droughts and everything is way more difficult. And even now, we can't cater to people in regions where they're actually dealing with famine. So if you can imagine, you can just culture a couple of tons of meat or anything, or you can put a plant somewhere close by. It's so easy to fly it out and have way less emissions. So yeah, for the benefit of all, I think that is going to be one of the biggest steps forward. Yeah. So yeah, am I hopeful? There's this very very difficult balance there.
Tim, we're at the end. I can't believe it.
Yeah, and our
It's gone so
time is
quick.
actually running out again. Like it's oh my gosh,
Oh my
it's
God.
10 at night. I'm sorry for just talking an hour straight.
That's what we want,
boys.
man. That's what we want.
We love it. That's what we got you on for. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much.
No, thank you guys.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're doing such a tremendous job. Thank you so much. I'm definitely going through all of the episodes because you guys are so fascinating. And thank you so much for having me on. It's been not just a pleasure, but absolutely an honor.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. We're very grateful for you for coming on.
That was fascinating, and I've loved every episode that we've done. But when you feel you can talk to someone for hours, I love.
Yes.
I do love that.
Yeah, that was really good, and yeah, it was just so relaxed, and like you say, we could have talked all night, really, couldn't we, about just about stuff.
Yeah,
that was a great chat. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, can't believe how he was like, "You guys are amazing. What you're doing is amazing." I'm like, actually, what you're doing is amazing.
I know, yeah. It's him with licensing 50,000 products with his logo, and us two talking to 5 people.
Yeah. Also, actually, what I was going to say, this is something. So early on, I said to him about certain social media posts that I've seen where Lidl have got it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't calling him out.
No.
It was getting him to explain the process more.
Yeah. I didn't think you were calling him out.
No.
No, that's fine. No, that was a really interesting chat. That was.
I
enjoyed that.
Yeah, I don't like
that a lot.
I don't like hope. I'm feeling really miserable.
Yeah. It's have you watched Don't Look Up yet?
No, I don't want to.
No. It's that's I feel like this is the only time I've ever felt like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right. Okay.
Obviously his character, not him.
I can imagine.
But there's a scene when he goes off on one on a TV chat show, and I just feel like doing that quite a lot at the minute.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Come on.
Yeah. And it's like that, like I said, like I was talking about in the intro about that conversation I had. It's like people just come back at you with the next problem, the next problem, the next problem. And even though I said before about I've started using there is no argument if you're killing an animal. Whatever argument you're coming at me with, there's still no reason to kill an animal. And it's still coming back to that's what's always happened. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be that way.
No. That's it. We'd all be dead if you had to eat animals, wouldn't we?
There was one part of the discussion about no, it's gone again. Literally, it came and then went. Edit that.
Floated in and floated away. You'll have it as soon as we finish recording.
Yeah.
Like the French say, l'esprit d'escalier, the idea on the stairs.
Yeah,
that's a thing. The idea, when you've finished a conversation and then you walk away and you remember, oh yeah, I should have said that, but it's too late now.
Yeah. Found out this is not vegan related. Found out a very, very interesting fact today. Couldn't believe it. Josh sent me it. So the Mission Impossible tune.
Yes. Oh my God, I was going to ask you about that.
Amazing.
Jesus.
That. He just sent it to me and I was like, that is crazy. And if you
explain it to the listener.
So okay, you're putting this in anyway. So
yeah.
Possible thing goes something like this. I can't believe I'm singing on this bloody podcast.
We're taking 38 episodes, listener.
nice and
Here we are.
slowly is better because you get more of a feel for it. Ba 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 like that.
Mm-hmm. Very
Morse
good.
code. Morse code for MI. Dash dash dot dot. Dash dash
Incredible.
dot dot. Who would have thought it? All these years, it's just a tune.
It's just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
How that's
Simple.
so simple and yet so good. Ah, it's just amazing. It blew my mind when you sent me that. I was just like, what?
I know. I know.
Love it. Absolutely.
Not vegan related, but a fun, interesting fact nonetheless.
Yeah. Oh, we're all over that. We're all
Yeah.
over it.
Anyway, I think I'd better go and pick my daughter up from a friend's house. Oh, you've got one.
Before you do, just remembered we had Chad from Top Vegan TV
Oh,
on.
yes, it's the final this week.
It's the final this week, and they have launched some merch, which is Chad's pink vegan beanie.
Happy days.
Only available in the US.
Ah, bugger.
I did check. I saw they'd launched it, so I asked for a link, and yeah, they only shipped to the US. So far.
So far. But I mean, friend of the podcast.
Yeah, you never know. Might get him to gift one to us.
Yeah. Two.
When he's when he's a multi-millionaire. No, I told you I can't have a pink one because it'll look like I'm not wearing one. It'll just look like my bald head.
Cool. Right.
Anyway. Right. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
And I hope you've enjoyed it. And if not, keep quiet. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Like and subscribe and share with your
Tell your
friends.
milkman.
Tell your milkman. Only your
Your
plant.
vegan milkman. It's got to be, yeah, obviously.
And yeah, if you want to get in touch to tell us anything that we're good at and anything that we can improve, then just send us an email at howiveganpodcast@gmail.com or message us on our social medias. And thank you very much for listening.